Hello Cloud Focus. So this video demonstration is for challenge 2900, integrating the CloudScope public API with Smartsheet via Zapier. So as part of the demo, I'll show you the initial setup done on the Smartsheet, plus the Zapier created to integrate with the new row update action in the Smartsheet. So let's first start with the Smartsheet. I created a Smartsheet with simple, basically the three columns. The challenge ID is open and total price. So, so as part of this challenge, so I'm considering these are the three columns that are available in my Smartsheet. So let's say challenge ID is the column which is already present in this sheet, and I wanted to update the uh, other other columns for this particular row. So as part of this, I created a Zap, and the Zap name is cloudscope_2900. So let's edit this Zap and see what are the settings that have been done. So as a part of the creation of Zap, the first step I've created is I've used Webhook as my initial service, and second service, the target service is the Smartsheet service. So for Webhook, the trigger is first trigger I have used is catch hook. So this basically waits for new post, output, or get a request to a Zapier URL. And the action for Smartsheet I have used is new row update. So the second step is the webhook URL. That is the URL where you have to send your request parameters. So this is a URL which will actually look for your webhook to send the data, and it will pass the data, and also it will try to match with the Smartsheet columns. Step 3 is the select an account for the Smartsheet. So I already linked my account, and it's quite working well. Okay. So, and the fourth step is, I think, optional. You can also filter your hooks based on these keywords. Your data in the Smartsheet can be updated. You can even restrict the rows updated in the Smartsheet. The main fifth step is an important step where you have to actually map your Smartsheet column. So to do that, you first have to select the sheet. So in my case, the sheet is already selected. So when you create the new Zap, you have to select your sheet that will be fetched from your integrated Smartsheet account. So in my case, I have created a cloudscope_2900 Smartsheet, and this is the ID for that Smartsheet, which is actually used for the API communication with the Smartsheet API. So as you can see, this is a Smartsheet with the name of cloudscope_2900. So similar cloud sheet I'm able to see here because I've integrated my Smartsheet account with Zapier. Okay. Now the next step is, when you click on this Smartsheet, it will automatically fetch or parse the columns available in the Smartsheet. So as you can see, all three columns are parsed. Now to actually map the data in these columns, you have to send a first request so that it can actually try and generate the response. So the first request, the example of the request that you need to send is this. So as you can see, so this is the curl URL where I am hitting the Zapier URL. So for now I'm manually I'm treating as a webhook, and I'm hitting it to this Zapier URL with the row ID, challenge ID, and other parameters. Now what is this row ID? Row ID is basically the ID of that particular row present in the Smartsheet which you want to update. So if you want to update this row ID, that attributes of this row, then you need the row ID for this particular row. So to get that row ID, currently in Smartsheet, the only option available is you cannot get the row ID within the Zapier setup, because I've talked with the Zapier guys and they are saying they are still working on it. So currently you cannot fetch the row ID directly within the lookup that's row ID within the Zapier setup. So you first have to fetch the row ID from the API, Smartsheet API. So for that, you just have to fire the request to this API URL available, api.smartsheet.com, and this is the sheet ID, and this sheet ID you can get it from the Zapier. So when you select the sheet, so you get to see this is the ID for that sheet. So use that ID over here, and use the header authorization via access token. So access token is a token which you will get from your Smartsheet account. So click on this account, personal setting. So this is a place where you can get your API access token. So use that access token over the API and fetch all the details of this smart sheet. So as a dummy example, I'll try out. So so this is a call example which will fetch a particular API smart sheet for my account. So as you can see, all the columns, all the rows associated with the smart sheet are fetched. So this is a row and this is the ID. So this is a row number 1 and this is the ID for that particular row. So as you can see, for this first row, this is the ID, and for the second row, this is the ID. So similarly, you get to know the ID of all the rows which is required in the Zapier setup. So let's say I wanted to update the first row, so I'll use this ID. So this is the ID which I need to use, and this, let's say challenge ID is 2900. I wanted to update total prize money to $750 and it's open to 2. So and I'm requesting this to a Zapier URL which is similar to this. So I'll just replace with this. Okay, so my call is ready. So I'll just try the call. So as you can see, you are actually hitting the Zapier URL and you get the success. So now the response is ready, so you can test it. After hitting that URL, you get to see all the column, all the attributes that you have sent. So I have sent the row ID to this, and I'm getting that. So this is the row ID. So you get the row ID, and you can map it to a row ID column. Challenge ID, you can map it to challenge ID. So as you can see, row ID is very important to update in case of update. So you have to pass a row ID as a parameter to update a particular row. So based on this ID, the row will be updated. So now try out your Zap. In this section, you just get the simple example hooks. So let's say I have tried with 29007550 true and this row ID, and this is how it will be sent to the Smartsheet API. In Smartsheet, everything is communicated in terms of ID. So row ID is this, sheet ID is this, and these are the other columns attribute value. So when I click on send, the corresponding row should get uploaded. Okay, I got the success message. So when you now go to this Smartsheet and when you just reload the page, you should see the row with challenge ID 2900 got updated. Yeah, the row is updated with these values which are sent from the API. So this is how you can set up your Zap, and you can also make your Zap live, and then your Zap is ready to sync with the Smartsheet within 5 minutes or 15 minutes of time based on your plan you have purchased. So this is one way of integrating the two services, that is the webhook and the Smartsheet. So webhook can be triggered from the CloudSpoke API platform when any challenge or anything is updated. So this is the way we can do it. Another way of doing is you can also do a retrieve poll. You can also pull from a URL. So in our case, we have a CloudSpoke public API. So when we excuse me. So when we let's say we wanted to poll for a particular URL, let's say challenge URL. So currently the challenge URL is like for particular challenge. So as you can see, you can poll to this particular URL where any changes will happen. Then there's all the columns from this table will be mapped. So when you click on retrieve poll, so after associating the account, you're supposed to enter a URL where all your response is coming. So in my case, I have mapped with the CloudSpoke public API challenge URL. So when you click on the sheet, so you will get to see all the columns from that response. So currently you see all the attributes which are coming from this CloudSpoke public API for challenge, registered member, name, communication, communicative judge, terms of service, submission. So all these attributes are getting passed and are ready to map to a particular column in Smartsheet. But the problem with this approach is it still needs a row ID.